Welcome to the Remote Work Conversations series with i2i Technologies. At i2i Technologies, we help people with video communications. I'm Ken Kahn, Director of Partnerships and Collaboration, and I've been involved with video communication since it showed up in the middle school I was teaching at in 2002. Yes, folks, that's over 20 years ago now. As always, I'm here with my friend and colleague, the person that you really want to see and hear from.
I'm Roxanne Glauser. I'm Director of Marketing and Learning with i2i Technologies. And Ken, I'm glad you did the math for me because I've also been involved in working with video communications for over 20 years, starting out in education. So thanks for putting the actual date to it. But my focus has always been on the intersection of technology and collaboration. And so I'm delighted that I get to do that now with i2i Technologies as we work with small businesses and educational institutions to help them with their kind of transforming their remote collaboration and their virtual and hybrid events. One of the things I was really excited about in chatting about remote work is that we're going to be able to connect it with other conversations that we have had throughout the years about virtual and hybrid events. Re-envision and look through the lens of remote work at those topics such as quality of interactions, equity of the remote and the local participants, the intentionality and the planning. I know you'll have a lot to say about the planning aspects. And one thing that popped into my mind today was also the tools that we can use that are now, things that we could only dream about when we first came into the space.
So you might be wondering, like, what's led us into these conversations on remote work, and we were thinking about researching, considering different conversations to talk about next. And remote work, as we were looking into it, kept sticking out more and more. And kind of like Roxanne alluded to, we were noticing like the threads of connection to distance learning, interactive video conferencing, webinars, virtual and hybrid events, like the similar debates related to the quality and the validity of those things. So before we kind of jump into some statistics that we're going to use to start out this conversation, we felt like we wanted to talk about the definition of remote work. So like, how would you what would you define remote work as? How would you define it, Roxanne?
I was thinking about this a lot, and I think one aspect of it is the flexibility that you have some flexibility in the schedule and how you can design it. And it doesn't take place in like the main location, but and it's not just an ad hoc of like, oh, there's a snowstorm, I'm going to work from home today. So I think of it as something that is by design and not by accident, doing your work in a way that's not location specific. So what would you add on or use different terms for that?
Well, the definition I came up with, and then I went and like looked one up on. I did it backwards to not bias myself on what the internet told me the definition was, but my definition was working in a location away from a centralized office on a consistent basis. I felt like that's, as you and I were kind of going back and forth trying to decide on the topics for this conversation. And as we've talked about remote work in the past, just informally, I felt like, okay, that probably covers it. The internet definition I found was remote work is a work arrangement where employees perform their duties outside of a traditional office setting. I kind of like mine better, but you know, I'm biased.
Did did I just hear you say you're smarter than the internet? Is that what I heard? Well, I really like the idea. I do agree. It's by design, right? It's not just in the past, it would be like, oh, I guess pre-pandemic, it might be like, oh, well, I'm going to just finish up this project at home. I need a little time here, or I'm might be a little contagious, so I'll stay home for a day. This is ongoing and consistent.
Yeah, and that's a good point you make. Yeah, we're not talking about like people that are just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to finish this project this weekend, or, something that's not planned, or, um, doesn't happen on a consistent basis. All right, so I think we're ready to jump into some statistics.